A day in the life of an ordinary Roman. The Roman Empire was loud in its glory, but tonight we'll listen to the silence between the stories, the small, forgotten hours of an ordinary Roman day. Not the roar of the Colosseum, not the speeches of senators or the clash of legions, but the softer things, the sound of bread being torn in the morning, the splash of water from a stone basin, the slow sweep of a broom across a tiled floor. Tonight, we walk through a quieter Rome. We'll wake inside a narrow insula apartment, where sunlight slips in through a crack in the wooden shutters. We'll greet the day with cold water, dry bread, and the scent of olive oil warming on clay pots. Outside, the street murmurs with life, vendors calling, carts rattling, footsteps echoing off worn stone. You won't need to remember any names. There are no battles, no plots, just a single ordinary life, measured in footsteps, shadows, and slow breaths. So close your eyes if you'd like. There's no rush here. Let time slow to the rhythm of a city that never hurried. Not really, once you left the Senate behind. The Empire Without the Noise, Chapter 1. History remembers the loud, the grand, the thunderous march of legions and the booming voices of emperors echoing through marble halls. But tonight, let us step away from all that noise and find ourselves in a quieter Rome, where a different kind of story unfolds. The first light of dawn touches the rooftops of the eternal city, soft and golden, like honey poured slowly across terracotta tiles. The air is cool, still holding the gentle embrace of night, and somewhere in the distance, a single rooster calls, his voice barely disturbing the peaceful silence. In this moment, before the city fully awakens,
Rome bret quietly.
The narrow cobblestone streets lie almost empty, their ancient stones still cool with morning dew. Each footstep would echo softly here, if anyone were walking. But for now, there is only the whisper of a gentle breeze, rustling through the leaves of olive trees in hidden courtyards. The scent of wood smoke drifts lazily from a few early chimneys, mixing with the warm, yeasty fragrance of fresh bread beginning to bake in distant ovens. These are the smells of life, of home, of ordinary mornings that stretched across centuries, unrecorded but deeply felt. Here, in a simple dwelling near the Aventine Hill, lives Marcus, a man history will never name. His hands know the weight of clay, the gentle resistance of the potter's wheel, the satisfaction of shaping something beautiful from earth and water. He rises now, as he has for 30 years, moving quietly through rooms touched by pale morning light. Below, in the market square, empty stalls wait patiently for their daily transformation. Soon they will burst with voices and colors, but now, they stand in silent anticipation. Wooden boards weathered smooth by countless hands, stone surfaces worn gentle by time and use. Near the fountain, old Gaius the baker works alone in his shop, hands moving in the ancient rhythm of kneading. Fold, press, turn. His movements are prayer-like, meditative, connecting him to every baker who came before and every loaf that will feed his neighbors today. Somewhere near the barracks, a young soldier named Lucius walks his quiet watch, his sandals soft against the stone. He thinks not of glory or conquest, but of a letter from home, of his mother's garden, of the girl named Julia who promised to wait. Through narrow alleys, a messenger moves like a shadow, carrying words between friends, between lovers, between families. His name is Quintus, and his purpose is simple, human, beautiful in its ordinariness. These souls, Marcus the potter, Gaius the baker, Lucius the soldier, Quintus the messenger. They are the empire without the noise. Their stories interweave like threads in a tapestry, each day bringing small moments, quiet connections, gentle rhythms that pulse through the heart of Rome. And as the sun climbs higher, painting the ancient walls in shades of amber and gold, their day truly begins. But that is a story for another time. Chapter 2. waking up in an insula apartment. Let us follow Marcus now, as he stirs in his small dwelling, high above the cobblestone streets, in one of Rome's many insulae, these towering apartment buildings that house the city's working souls. His room is small, perhaps 10 paces from wall to wall, but it is his. The clay walls, rough to the touch, bear the stains of countless seasons, patches of deeper brown where winter rains have seeped through, lighter spots where the summer sun has baked the earth dry. These walls hold stories, whispered conversations, quiet tears, gentle laughter, all absorbed into their ancient surface. The narrow wooden shutters, weathered gray with age, filter the morning light into soft golden bands that dance across the floor. Through the gaps between the slats, pale beams stretch like fingers, touching the simple wooden bowl on his table, the ceramic oil lamp that guided his evening hours, the small bronze mirror that reflects fragments of dawn. Marcus lies upon his straw mattress, laid directly on the wooden floor, covered by a thin woolen blanket that has served him faithfully for many years. The straw beneath him rustles softly as he begins to wake, each movement releasing the faint scent of dried grass, of harvest time, of fields far from this crowded city. His eyes open slowly, adjusting to the gentle light, and he stretches, feeling the familiar stiffness in his shoulders from yesterday's work at the potter's wheel. His hands, even in sleep, bear the memory of clay, the calluses on his palms telling the story of countless vessels shaped, countless hours spent in quiet creation. From somewhere in the building, he hears the soft murmur of voices, his neighbors beginning their day. On the floor below, a woman hums a lullaby to her child, her voice drifting up through the thin wooden boards, gentle and soothing, like water over stones. Above him, footsteps pace slowly, someone else greeting the morning in their own quiet way. Marcus sits up slowly, his bare feet touching the cool wooden floor. He reaches for the clay basin beside his bed, filled with water he drew from the fountain the evening before. The water is cool, almost cold, and as he cups it in his hands, it feels like a blessing. He splashes his face, feeling the night's heaviness wash away, droplets running down his cheeks, his beard, falling back into the basin with tiny sounds like distant rain. Outside, beyond his shuttered window, the sounds of the neighborhood begin to weave together. A dog barks somewhere in the distance, its voice echoing off the walls of neighboring buildings. Footsteps move along the stone stairs of his insula, soft leather soles against worn stone, creating a rhythm that has marked the mornings here for decades. He rubs his eyes gently, clearing away the last traces of sleep and the faint sting of wood smoke that lingers from the small brazier he used for warmth in the early hours. His movements are unhurried, peaceful, each gesture part of a ritual that connects him to this place, to this moment, to the simple beauty of beginning another day. And then, drifting up from the street below, comes the scent he has been waiting for. Fresh bread, warm and yeasty, from Gaius's bakery. The aroma climbs through the narrow spaces between buildings, seeps through his shutters, and fills his small room with the promise of morning, of sustenance, of the community that waits beyond these walls. This is his world, this small space high above the streets, shared with neighbors whose names he knows, whose children he has watched grow, whose sorrows and joys have become part of the rhythm of his days. The insula may be crowded, the walls may be thin, but it pulses with life, with the quiet resilience of ordinary people making their way in the eternal city. Marcus stands now, his day beginning in earnest, but the peace of these morning moments, the gentle sounds of his neighbors, the scent of fresh bread, the cool touch of water on his face. These will remain with him, a foundation of calm beneath all the hours that follow. Chapter 3: Morning Meal and Preparations. The cool water has awakened Marcus fully now, and his stomach speaks softly, reminding him of the simple needs that anchor every day. He moves to his small wooden table, where yesterday's provisions wait with quiet patience. A round of flatbread, still soft from Gaius's oven, sits wrapped in clean linen. Marcus unwraps it slowly, the fabric falling away like petals, revealing the bread's golden surface, marked with the gentle ridges of the baker's hands. He tears a piece, feeling the slight resistance, hearing the soft whisper as the crust gives way to reveal the tender interior. From a small clay vessel, he drizzles olive oil, golden green and fragrant, over the bread. The oil soaks in slowly, darkening the surface, carrying with it the essence of ancient groves, of summer sun on silver leaves, of the hands that pressed these olives months ago. The first bite is simple, perfect, the oil's richness balanced by the bread's honest grain. Beside the bread, 3 figs rest in a wooden bowl, their skin deep purple, almost black, with the soft bloom of ripeness. Marcus lifts one, feeling its weight, its yielding softness. As he bites into it, the sweetness bursts across his tongue, honey-like, with tiny seeds that add their own gentle texture. The fig's flesh is pale pink, almost translucent, like captured sunrise. He drinks from his water cup, the liquid cool and clean, drawn yesterday evening from the fountain where the neighbors gather, where news travels from house to house, where children play while their mothers fill their vessels. The water tastes of stone, of deep earth, of the aqueducts that carry mountain streams to this crowded city. Through the walls, thin as they are, the sounds of morning multiply. In the room to his left, he hears Kasia speaking softly to her baby, her voice like music, gentle and reassuring. The child makes small sounds in response, contented gurgles that speak of safety, of love, of the timeless bond between mother and child. Above him, pots clatter softly, someone preparing their own morning meal, and he catches fragments of conversation. A woman's voice, perhaps talking to her husband. The grain merchant said, "Prices at the market. Flavia's daughter is to be married." The words drift down through the floorboards, pieces of lives being lived, stories being woven into the fabric of another day. Marcus finishes his simple meal, wiping his hands on the linen cloth, and turns to his clothing. His tunic, woven from good wool, hangs on a wooden peg. The fabric is plain, undyed, but well made, honest cloth that will serve him faithfully through the day's work. He lifts it, feeling its familiar weight, its soft texture worn smooth by countless washings. Slipping the tunic over his head, he adjusts it carefully, smoothing the fabric across his shoulders, pulling it straight at the waist. These movements are ritual, preparation, the slow transformation from sleep to readiness. The tunic settles against his skin like an old friend, comfortable, familiar, part of who he is. His sandals wait by the door, leather worn soft and supple, shaped by his feet over many seasons. The straps are still strong, the soles thick enough to protect against the sharp stones of Roman streets. He sits on the edge of his bed, lifts one foot, then the other, lacing the sandals with practiced ease, feeling the leather embrace his feet, securing him to the earth. to the day ahead. As he finishes, Marcus pauses, looking toward his shuttered window. The light has grown stronger, painting the slats with broader strokes of gold. Spring is coming. He can feel it in the air, in the way the cold has softened, in the promise of longer days, of warmer earth, of the season when his clay will be easier to work, when the kills will not fight so hard against the chill. Today, he thinks, he will finish the large amphora that Senator Brutus commissioned. The clay has been waiting, patient and ready, for his hands to give it final form, and perhaps, if the work goes well, he will have time to visit the temple, to leave a small offering, to give thanks for steady hands, for daily bread, for this quiet life that asks for little but gives so much. He remembers yesterday's conversation with Quintus the messenger, who mentioned strange rumors from the forum, whispers of changes, of tensions among the great families, but such things feel distant here, in this small room, in this life measured by the rhythm of the wheel, the cycle of firing, the simple satisfaction of creating something useful, something beautiful. Marcus stands, ready now, his day arranged before him like tools laid out for work. The sounds of the insula continue around him, life proceeding in its gentle chaos, neighbors beginning their own journeys through the hours, each following their own path, yet all connected by these walls, these streets, this ancient city that holds them all. As he finishes, Marcus pauses, looking toward his shuttered window. The light has grown stronger, painting the slats with broader strokes of gold. Spring is coming. He can feel it in the air, in the way the cold has softened, in the promise of longer days, of warmer earth, of the season when his clay will be easier to work, when the kills will not fight so hard against the chill. Today, he thinks, he will finish the large amphora that Senator Brutus commissioned. The clay has been waiting, patient and ready, for his hands to give it final form, and perhaps, if the work goes well, he will have time to visit the temple, to leave a small offering, to give thanks for steady hands, for daily bread, for this quiet life that asks for little but gives so much. He remembers yesterday's conversation with Quintus the messenger, who mentioned strange rumors from the forum, whispers of changes, of tensions among the great families, but such things feel distant here, in this small room, in this life measured by the rhythm of the wheel, the cycle of firing, the simple satisfaction of creating something useful, something beautiful. Marcus stands, ready now, his day arranged before him like tools laid out for work. The sounds of the insula continue around him, life proceeding in its gentle chaos, neighbors beginning their own journeys through the hours, each following their own path, yet all connected by these walls, these streets, this ancient city that holds them all. As he finishes, Marcus pauses, looking toward his shuttered window. The light has grown stronger, painting the slats with broader strokes of gold. Spring is coming. He can feel it in the air, in the way the cold has softened, in the promise of longer days, of warmer earth, of the season when his clay will be easier to work, when the kills will not fight so hard against the chill. Today, he thinks, he will finish the large amphora that Senator Brutus commissioned. The clay has been waiting, patient and ready, for his hands to give it final form, and perhaps, if the work goes well, he will have time to visit the temple, to leave a small offering, to give thanks for steady hands, for daily bread, for this quiet life that asks for little but gives so much. He remembers yesterday's conversation with Quintus the messenger, who mentioned strange rumors from the forum, whispers of changes, of tensions among the great families, but such things feel distant here, in this small room, in this life measured by the rhythm of the wheel, the cycle of firing, the simple satisfaction of creating something useful, something beautiful. Marcus stands, ready now, his day arranged before him like tools laid out for work. The sounds of the insula continue around him, life proceeding in its gentle chaos, neighbors beginning their own journeys through the hours, each following their own path, yet all connected by these walls, these streets, this ancient city that holds them all. Chapter 4: Walking Through the Roman Streets. Marcus opens his wooden door and steps from the quiet sanctuary of his room into the gentle symphony of Roman morning. The narrow stairway descends before him, worn smooth by countless feet, by decades of neighbors making this same journey. From private dreams to public day, each step downward brings new sounds, new scents, new textures. The stone is cool beneath his sandals, uneven in places where generations of footsteps have worn shallow depressions, like a map of human passage, a record of all who have walked this way before him. And then he emerges onto the street. The morning sun, still low and golden, touches his face with gentle warmth, chasing away the last coolness of the insula's shadows. The light catches the rough stone walls, the terracotta roof tiles, painting everything in shades of amber and honey. The street stretches before him, narrow and intimate, lined with buildings that lean toward each other like old friends sharing secrets. The cobblestones beneath his feet are ancient, polished by rain and sun, by the wheels of countless carts, by the feet of citizens and slaves, merchants and children, all who call this district home. To his left, a narrow alley opens like a doorway, leading toward the broader streets, the forums where the day's business will soon begin. But for now, even there, the pace remains gentle, unhurried, Rome awakening slowly, stretching like a great cat in the morning sun. The first vendors are beginning their daily ritual, setting up their stalls, arranging their wares with practiced care. An old woman unfolds clean linen, displaying vegetables from her garden. Turnips still dusted with earth, leeks with their green tops bright and fresh, onions braided into neat ropes that catch the light. Across the way, a wine merchant dusts his amphory, each one sealed with wax, marked with symbols that tell of distant vineyards, of harvests from hills overlooking the sea. He arranges them carefully, creating small displays, his weathered hands moving with the knowledge of years, of seasons, of the rhythms that govern trade. A wooden cart creaks past, pulled by a patient donkey, its wheels grinding softly against the stones. The driver nods to Marcus, a greeting between neighbors, between men who understand the weight of honest work. The cart carries clay vessels, perhaps bound for the market, or to a customer who waits for what skilled hands have made. From somewhere nearby, a child's laughter rings out, bright and clear, followed by the frantic squawking of a chicken. Marcus smiles, remembering his own childhood, the games that turned every street corner into adventure. A boy appears, running past with determination, chasing the escaped bird, while his mother's voice calls after him, patient but firm, the eternal dance of childhood and responsibility. Above, between the buildings, laundry hangs like festival banners, tunics and cloaks drying in the morning air. Moving gently in the breeze, the fabric catches the light, creating patterns of shadow and brightness on the street below. A canopy of ordinary life, of the endless cycle of washing and wearing, of care and renewal, Marcus makes his way toward Gaius's bakery. Following the scent that has been calling to him, the aroma grows stronger with each step. Warm bread, yeaste, warm bread, yeast and grain, the promise of sustenance, of the communion that comes from sharing food, from the ancient bond between baker and neighbor. The bakery is already alive with activity. Gaius himself stands behind his counter, flour dusting his arms, his face flushed from the heat of the ovens. His smile is genuine, the greeting of a man who takes pride in feeding his community. Marcus, my friend. The usual? His voice carries the warmth of years, of countless mornings, of bread shared and hunger satisfied. Marcus nods, reaching for the coins in his belt pouch, feeling their weight, their warmth from his body. The bronze is smooth, worn by many hands, each coin a small piece of the great network that connects farmer to baker, potter to customer, citizen to citizen. The exchange is simple, wordless, but rich with meaning. The bread is still warm, wrapped in clean linen, and as Marcus holds it, he feels the baker's gift, the transformation of simple grain into nourishment, into the foundation of another day. Gaius's hands are skilled, practiced, blessed by the gods who watch over those who feed the people. Leaving the bakery, Marcus pauses at the small shrine that stands at the corner. Where two streets meet, a simple stone niche, weathered by time, holds the modest figures of the Laras, the gods who protect this neighborhood, who watch over the daily lives of ordinary people. The offerings are humble. A few coins, some dried flowers, a small cake left by a grateful neighbor, warm bread, yeast and grain, the promise of sustenance, of the communion that comes from sharing food, from the ancient bond between baker and neighbor. The bakery is already alive with activity. Gaius himself stands behind his counter, flour dusting his arms, his face flushed from the heat of the ovens. His smile is genuine, the greeting of a man who takes pride in feeding his community. Marcus, my friend. The usual? His voice carries the warmth of years, of countless mornings, of bread shared and hunger satisfied. Marcus nods, reaching for the coins in his belt pouch, feeling their weight, their warmth from his body. The bronze is smooth, worn by many hands, each coin a small piece of the great network that connects farmer to baker, potter to customer, citizen to citizen. The exchange is simple, wordless, but rich with meaning. The bread is still warm, wrapped in clean linen, and as Marcus holds it, he feels the baker's gift, the transformation of simple grain into nourishment, into the foundation of another day. Gaius's hands are skilled, practiced, blessed by the gods who watch over those who feed the people. Leaving the bakery, Marcus pauses at the small shrine that stands at the corner. Where two streets meet, a simple stone niche, weathered by time, holds the modest figures of the Laras, the gods who protect this neighborhood, who watch over the daily lives of ordinary people. The offerings are humble. A few coins, some dried flowers, a small cake left by a grateful neighbor. Marcus reaches into his pouch, draws out a small copper coin, worn smooth, and places it gently beside the other offerings. His prayer is whispered, private, a moment of gratitude for steady hands, for daily bread, for the community that surrounds him. The gods listen. He knows, to the voices of the humble, to the prayers of those who ask for little but give much. From the direction of the forum, a voice rises, clear and practiced. A town crier stands on the steps of a temple, calling out the day's news. His words drift on the morning air, fragments of information, of politics and trade, of the great world beyond these quiet streets. But here, in this moment, the news feels distant, less urgent than the immediate reality of bread and prayer, of neighbors and morning light. Near the fountain, a small crowd has gathered, drawn by the sound of music. A flute player sits on the fountain's edge, his simple melody dancing in the air, joined by a woman's voice, singing softly, telling an old story of heroes and gods, of love and loss. The listeners drop coins into the musician's cup, payment for the gift of beauty, for the reminder that life holds more than work and worry. Marcus walks on, carrying his bread, his morning's prayer still warm in his heart. The streets continue to wake around him, filling slowly with the sound of footsteps, of voices, of the great machinery of daily life beginning to turn. But the peace of these early hours remains, a foundation of calm beneath the day's activity, a reminder that even in the greatest city, life is built from small moments, quiet connections, the gentle rhythms that connect all human hearts. Chapter 5. Midday Routine and Work. Marcus follows the familiar path, through streets that grow busier as the sun climbs higher, past the fountain where women gather with their water jugs, past the shrine where his morning prayer still echoes, toward the small workshop that has been his world for more than 20 years. The workshop sits tucked between a fuller's shop and a blacksmith's forge, a modest space that opens onto the street, where passers-by can watch the ancient dance of clay and will, of earth transformed by patient hands. The morning light slants through the doorway, illuminating motes of clay dust that dance in the air like tiny spirits. His potter's wheel waits, carved from a single piece of hardwood, worn smooth by countless hours of use. The clay sits nearby, prepared yesterday, covered with damp linen to keep it supple, waiting for the touch that will give it purpose. The amphora for Senator Brutus rests on a wooden shelf, nearly finished, its graceful curves speaking of skill passed down through generations. Marcus settles onto his low stool, feeling the familiar ache in his back, the reminder of years spent bent over his work. He uncovers the clay, revealing its gray-brown surface, cool and receptive. He lifts a portion, feeling its weight, its promise. The clay knows his hands, responds to his touch, becomes willing partner in the act of creation. The wheel begins to turn, slowly at first, then faster as his foot finds its rhythm. The clay centers itself, finding balance, and Marcus's hands embrace it, guiding, shaping, coaxing form from formlessness. His movements are meditation, prayer made visible, the ancient communion between maker and material. The clay rises, spreads, becomes. A water jar takes shape, simple but perfect, its walls growing thin and strong, its mouth opening like a flower. Marcus's fingers trace the rim, smoothing, perfecting, adding the small details that mark his work, that speak of care taken, of pride in craft. The sounds of the street drift in, the blacksmith's hammer ringing against iron, the fuller's paddles beating cloth, the voices of customers and neighbors, all weaving together into the symphony of working Rome. Marcus listens without listening, his attention focused on the clay, on the vessel emerging beneath his hands. He thinks of lunch, of the bread he bought from Gaius, of the cheese he has wrapped in linen, of the olives from the jar his neighbor Kasia gave him. Simple food, but satisfying. The kind of meal that sustains without overwhelming, that allows the afternoon's work to continue without heaviness. A shadow falls across his doorway, and Marcus looks up to see Lucius, the young soldier from his building, no longer in uniform but dressed in a simple tunic, his face relaxed, peaceful. "Good morning, Marcus," Lucius says, his voice warm with friendship. "I see you're working on something beautiful again." Marcus's hands never stop moving, the clay requiring constant attention, but he smiles, glad for the company. "Just a water jar," he says. "Nothing as grand as what you protect, but useful, I hope." The wheel turns, the clay responds, and the conversation flows as naturally as the work itself. "I've been thinking about what you said yesterday," Lucius continues, settling against the doorframe, "about the rumors from the forum, about changes coming." His voice carries a note of concern, the worry of a young man who serves the state, who sees the tensions that ordinary citizens might miss. Marcus nods, his fingers shaping the jar's neck. "Changes always come," he says quietly. "Emperors rise and fall. Senators argue. Wars are fought, but the clay remains. The wheel turns. People need vessels for their water, their wine, their grain. This work, it continues." They talk for a while, about the weather, about the rising price of grain, about Flavia's daughter's upcoming wedding. The conversation wanders like a stream, following no particular course, touching on the small concerns that make up daily life. Lucius mentions his mother's garden, how the early spring has brought unexpected blooms. Marcus shares news of a commission, a set of cups for a merchant's family. Eventually, Lucius takes his leave, bound for the bathhouse, for the ritual of cleansing that marks the division between morning and afternoon. Marcus watches him go, then returns his full attention to the clay, to the jar that has grown under his hands, nearly complete now, ready for the final shaping, the last touches that will mark it as his work. The sun reaches its zenith, painting the workshop in harsh light, and Marcus feels the familiar pull of hunger, of the body's need for rest, for sustenance. He covers the jar carefully, protecting it from the drying air, and wipes his hands on the damp cloth he keeps for this purpose. Outside, the heat shimmers on the stones, and Marcus seeks the shade of the old olive tree that grows in the small courtyard behind the workshops. Its leaves whisper in the slight breeze, creating a canopy of silver and green, a refuge from the sun's intensity. He settles against the trunk, feeling the bark's rough texture against his back. From his leather pouch, he draws out his midday meal. The bread is still soft, still carrying the warmth of Gaius's oven. He tears a piece, savoring its honest flavor, its connection to the grain that grew in distant fields, to the hands that harvested, ground, kneaded, baked. Each bite is communion with the earth, with the community that sustains him. The cheese is sharp, aged in caves outside the city, its flavor speaking of time, of patience, of the slow transformation that creates something wonderful from simple milk. Marcus eats slowly, mindfully, tasting each element, grateful for the simple abundance that fills his belly, that gives him strength for the afternoon's work. An olive follows, dark and rich, its flesh yielding to his teeth. releasing oil that has captured the essence of Mediterranean sun, of ancient groves, of the continuity that connects this moment to countless others, stretching back through generations of olive growers, of those who have sat in shade, eating simple food, finding peace in the rhythm of work and rest. Above him, the olive leaves dance, their motion hypnotic, soothing. Marcus closes his eyes, feeling the coolness of the shade, the satisfaction of work well done, the promise of more work to come. This is his life, measured not in grand gestures, but in small moments, in clay shaped, in bread shared, in the quiet contentment of a craftsman who knows his place in the world. Soon, he will return to the wheel, to the amphora that waits, to the afternoon's rhythm of creation. But for now, in this moment, under this ancient tree, he rests, he eats, he exists in the simple perfection of a Roman midday, timeless, peaceful, complete. Chapter 6. Afternoon at the Baths. The afternoon sun slants long and golden, casting deep shadows between the buildings. As Marcus makes his way through the familiar streets, his stomach is content. His brief rest under the olive tree has restored his spirit. And now, the day's rhythm calls him toward one of Rome's greatest gifts to her citizens, the thermae, the public baths where body and soul find renewal. The bathhouse rises before him, a marvel of stone and engineering, its massive walls gleaming white in the afternoon light. Corinthian columns frame the entrance, their capitals carved with acanthus leaves that seem to dance in the shifting shadows. The bronze doors, polished to mirror brightness, reflect the faces of those who enter, citizens and freedmen alike, all equal in their need for cleansing. For the sacred ritual of water and steam, Marcus climbs the marble steps, worn smooth by countless feet. Feeling the cool stone through his sandals, the entrance hall opens before him, vast and echoing, its domed ceiling painted with scenes of Neptune and his court, sea creatures swimming through painted waves, their eyes seeming to follow the bathers below. The floor is a masterpiece of mosaic, tiny tiles forming intricate patterns, dolphins and tridents, waves and shells, all speaking of water's eternal power. The attendant, a Greek freedman named Lysander, nods in recognition. "Welcome, Marcus," he says, his voice carrying the warmth of familiarity. The afternoon is perfect for the baths. The caldarium has just been stoked. The water is at its finest. Marcus smiles, reaching for the small bronze token that grants him entry, feeling its weight, its promise of the pleasures to come. In the changing room, the apodyterium, Marcus begins the ritual of undressing. Each garment is removed with deliberate care, his tunic lifted over his head, folded neatly, placed in the wooden alcove assigned to him. His sandals are untied slowly, the leather straps worked loose, the familiar embrace of the footwear released, until he stands barefoot on the cool tiles, feeling the stone's smoothness beneath his feet. The air itself seems different here, warmer, more alive, carrying the scent of heated stone, of cedar wood burning in the hypocaust below, of the herbs that float in the pools, lavender and rosemary, mint and sage, their essences released by the warm water, creating an atmosphere that soothes even before the baths begin. Steam drifts from the arched doorways, pale and mysterious, like the breath of some benevolent god. It carries whispers of the pleasures within, the promise of waters that will wash away not just the day's dust, but the accumulated tensions of work, of worry, of the small burdens that every citizen carries, Marcus breathes deeply, feeling the warm air fill his lungs. Preparing his body for the transformation ahead, he enters the tepidarium first, the warm room where the body gradually acclimates. The air embraces him like a gentle lover, neither hot nor cool, but perfectly balanced. Temperature that soothes without shocking, that welcomes without overwhelming. The walls are lined with marble, veined with gold and green, and water trickles from hidden spouts, creating a constant, gentle music, the sound of liquid finding its way home. Other bathers move through the space like ghosts, their forms softened by the steam, their voices hushed, respectful of the sacred quality of this place. An old senator sits on a marble bench, his white hair damp with condensation, his eyes closed in peaceful meditation. A young scribe stands by a fountain, cupping the warm water in his hands, letting it flow through his fingers like liquid time. Marcus settles onto a bench, feeling the smooth stone against his skin, warming him, supporting him. The heat penetrates slowly, gently, drawing tension from his muscles, from the places where the potter's will has left its mark, where hours of concentrated work have created knots of effort. The steam opens his pores, allows his skin to breathe, to release the day's accumulation, to prepare for deeper cleansing. Time moves differently here, measured not by the sun's passage, but by the slow rhythm of relaxation, of the body's gradual surrender to warmth, to the ancient ritual of purification. Marcus closes his eyes, feeling the moisture gather on his skin, feeling his breathing slow, deepen, become part of the bathhouse's living rhythm. When he is ready, when his body has accepted the warm embrace, he moves toward the caldarium, the hot room where the true work of cleansing begins. The heat strikes him like a wall, intense, demanding, but not unwelcome. The air shimmers with steam, so thick it seems almost solid, and the marble walls radiate warmth. Heated by the fires that burn deep beneath the floors, the caldarium is a temple of heat, its domed ceiling disappearing into steam-laden darkness. Pools of hot water reflect the flickering torchlight, creating patterns of light and shadow that dance across the walls. The sound of water is everywhere, dripping from condensation, flowing from bronze spouts, splashing as bathers enter and exit the pools. A symphony of liquid music that echoes through the chamber. Marcus approaches the main pool, its surface steaming, inviting. He tests the water with his toe, feeling the heat penetrate his skin, then slowly, ceremonially, enters the pool. The water rises around him, embracing his legs, his waist, his chest, until he is immersed in liquid fire. His skin responds, opening, releasing, accepting the heat's purifying touch. The hot water works its ancient magic, drawing sweat from his pores, opening channels for the body's natural cleansing. Marcus feels the heat penetrate deep, reaching muscles he had forgotten he possessed, dissolving knots of tension, washing away the accumulated fatigue of days, of weeks, of the countless small stresses that gather in the body like sediment in a riverbed. Beside him, an old man chuckles softly. The gods knew what they were doing, he says, his voice rough with age but warm with contentment, when they gave us the gift of hot water. I've been coming here for 40 years, and still, each time feels like the first. Marcus nods, understanding, feeling the truth of those words in his own bones, in the way the heat reaches places that cool water cannot touch. But the body can only take so much, and soon Marcus feels the call of the frigidarium, the cold plunge that completes the cycle, that seals the cleansing, that awakens the body to its renewed state. He rises from the hot pool, steam rising from his skin, his body radiating heat like a bronze statue fresh from the forge. The frigidarium waits, its pool dark and still, fed by mountain springs, by water that remembers snow, that carries the memory of high places, of streams that have never known the touch of fire. Marcus pauses at the edge, gathering his courage, then plunges. The cold strikes him like lightning, shocking, transforming, awakening every nerve, every cell, to vibrant life. The shock passes, replaced by a sensation of incredible clarity, of life flowing through his veins with renewed vigor. The cold water closes his pores, seals in the cleansing, creates a barrier between his renewed body and the world beyond. He surfaces, gasping, laughing, feeling more alive than he has in months. The other bathers smile, understanding, sharing in the joy of the cold plunge's gift. But the ritual is not complete. Lysander approaches, carrying a flask of golden olive oil, his hands skilled, practiced, ready to complete the ceremony of cleansing. "Come, Marcus," he says, his voice gentle, professional. "Let me finish what the waters have begun." Marcus lies on the marble table, still warm from the caldarium, still tingling from the frigidarium, ready for the final transformation. The oil is warm, scented with herbs, with the essence of Mediterranean groves. Lysander's hands work with practiced skill, spreading the oil, working it into skin that has been opened by heat, closed by cold, prepared for this final blessing. His touch is firm yet gentle, finding the places where tension lingers, where the body holds its secrets, its accumulated weariness. The massage begins slowly, methodically, fingers working along the channels of muscle, the pathways of fatigue. Lysander's hands know the body's geography, the mountains of shoulder blade, the valleys of spine, the plains of back and chest. His touch speaks of years of practice, of hands that have learned to read the language of muscle, of tension, of the body's silent pleas for relief. Marcus feels the oil penetrate, warm and soothing, carrying with it the herb's healing properties, the olive's ancient wisdom. The massage deepens, becomes more than physical, becomes a meditation, a prayer spoken in the language of touch. Each stroke releases something, some held breath, some guarded worry, some small knot of concern that had taken residence in his flesh. Finally, the strigil, the bronze scraper that will remove the oil, the day's accumulated dust, the last remnants of the world beyond these walls. Lysander works with gentle precision, the curved blade following the contours of Marcus's body, removing, purifying, revealing skin that feels newborn, tender, alive with possibility. Marcus sits up slowly, feeling the difference, the transformation. His body feels lighter, cleaner, more than clean, renewed, reborn. The bathhouse has worked its magic, has reminded him of what it means to be human, to be embodied, to carry spirit and flesh that can be cared for, honored, celebrated. The old senator from the tepidarium approaches, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "I heard the most amusing story today," he says, settling beside Marcus, "about a senator who tried to bring his pet peacock to the baths. Apparently the bird was quite offended by the steam. The story unfolds. Gentle, ridiculous, human, and Marcus finds himself laughing, sharing in the simple pleasure of story, of community, of the bonds that form in places of shared vulnerability. Time passes, measured in conversations, in the gentle lapping of water, in the soft hiss of steam, in the quiet satisfaction of bodies made clean, souls made peaceful. Marcus knows he will leave soon, will return to the world of work, of responsibility, of the thousand small concerns that make up daily life, but he will carry this with him. This sense of renewal, this reminder that the body is temple, that cleansing is sacrament, that in the simple act of bathing, the Romans have discovered something profound about what it means to be human. The light has changed, grown softer. As afternoon moves toward evening, the bathhouse settles into its own rhythm. The peaceful pulse of water, of warmth, of human bodies finding rest. Marcus rises, ready now, clean now, renewed now, prepared to return to the world, carrying with him the gift of the thermi, the ancient wisdom of water, the eternal blessing of the baths. Chapter 7. Evening, return home. The sun hangs low now, a golden coin suspended between the rooftops, casting the eternal city in shades of amber and rose. Marcus emerges from the bathhouse, his body still warm from the waters, his skin soft with oil and renewal, and steps into the gentle embrace of Roman evening. Above him, the sky transforms, orange bleeding into pink, pink melting into gold, as if the gods themselves were painting the heavens with gentle brushstrokes. The light catches the terracotta tiles, turning them into scales of copper and flame, while the marble columns stand like sentinels, their shadows stretching long and dark across the cobblestones. The air has changed, cooling as the sun releases its grip on the day, carrying new scents on the evening breeze. The heat-baked dust of afternoon mingles with the first hints of cooking fires, with olive oil warming in clay pots, with the sweet scent of bread still lingering from the morning's baking. The city exhales, releasing the day's tensions, preparing for night's gentle embrace. Marcus walks slowly, unhurried, his sandals soft against the stones. Each step carries him deeper into the evening's peace, into the quiet transformation that comes when day surrenders to dusk. The streets are emptier now, their earlier chaos mellowed to a gentle murmur, the urgent business of commerce giving way to the slower rhythms of home and hearth. A shopkeeper draws wooden shutters across his stall, the hinges creaking softly, a sound that speaks of day's end, of work completed, of the ancient rhythm that separates labor from rest. His weathered hands secure the latches, protecting his wares through the night, his movements deliberate, peaceful, part of the evening's ritual of closure. Down a narrow alley, a woman guides her small flock of chickens toward their roost, her voice gentle, coaxing, "Come now, come home." The birds scatter and gather, their feathers catching the last light, their soft clucking adding to the evening's symphony. The woman's patience is infinite, her love for these simple creatures evident in every gesture. Marcus pauses at the corner fountain, where the water flows constant and clear, its surface reflecting the painted sky. A child sits on the fountain's edge, her eyes heavy with the day's adventures, her mother's voice calling softly from a nearby doorway, "Livia, time for supper." The girl rises reluctantly, her small hand trailing in the water one last time, leaving ripples that catch the dying light. The scent of cooking draws Marcus's attention, drifting from a second-story window, rich and savory. The smell of lentils and herbs, of onions browning in olive oil, of the simple food that nourishes body and soul. Through the window, he glimpses the warm glow of oil lamps, the shadow of a woman stirring a pot, the eternal dance of nurture and care. An oil lamp flickers to life behind a cracked window, its flame small but steady, casting dancing shadows on the wall within. The light reflects in a puddle on the street below, creating a mirror of gold on dark stone. Beauty found in the simplest things, in the marriage of light and water, in the way illumination finds its way into the darkest corners. Marcus turns into his own street, the familiar path toward home. The buildings lean close here, creating an intimate canyon of stone and timber, of lives lived in proximity, of neighbors who share walls and worries, joys and sorrows. The narrow space holds the day's warmth, releases it slowly, creating a gentle cocoon of comfort. Old Gaius sits on his doorstep, his day's work done, his bakery closed and quiet. He nods to Marcus, a greeting between friends, between men who understand the satisfaction of honest labor. "A good day," Gaius says simply, his voice carrying the weight of flour and fire, of bread given and gratitude received. Marcus nods, understanding, feeling the truth of those words in his own bones. They talk briefly, gently, about the weather, about the senator's commission, about the quality of this year's olive harvest. Their words are few, but rich with meaning, with the understanding that comes from years of shared mornings, of bread bought and sold, of the simple commerce of neighborhood, of lives intertwined in the daily rhythm of survival and community. A cart creaks past, its wheels grinding softly against the stones, pulled by a donkey whose ears twitch at the sound of children's laughter. The cart is empty now, its day's cargo delivered, its purpose fulfilled. The driver walks beside it, his hand resting on the animal's neck, both of them moving toward rest, toward the stable where hay waits and water flows. Marcus continues on, his pace even slower now, reluctant to end this gentle transition, this passage from day to night. A woman hums softly from an upper window, her voice weaving a lullaby into the evening air. The melody ancient, timeless, speaking of mothers and children, of the songs that carry love across generations, of the music that soothes the spirit when day is done. He pauses at the low stone step that leads to his building, feeling the need to sit, to rest, to let the evening settle around him like a comfortable cloak. The stone is still warm from the day's sun, but cooling now, releasing its heat into the gathering dusk. Marcus settles onto it, feeling the solid support, the connection to earth and stability. From this vantage point, he watches the city prepare for sleep, the great breathing organism of Rome slowing its pulse, finding its night rhythm. Doors close with soft wooden whispers, shutters secure with gentle clicks. Voices fade to murmurs, then to silence. The transformation is gradual, peaceful, natural as the sunset itself. His thoughts drift, carried by the evening's quiet, to memories of childhood, of his father's hands shaping clay, of the way the workshop smelled of earth and promise, of the pride in his father's eyes when young Marcus first centered clay on the wheel, succeeded in creating something beautiful from nothing. The memory is warm, golden, like the dying light that paints the walls around him. Gratitude fills him, simple and profound, for this day, for the bread that filled his belly, for the water that cleansed his skin, for the clay that yielded to his hands, for the neighbors who shared their lives with him, for the ancient rhythms that connect him to something larger than himself, to the great continuity of human experience. A cat emerges from the shadows, sleek and purposeful, padding silently across the stones. Its eyes catch the last light, green and mysterious, ancient wisdom in a small body. It pauses, regards Marcus with feline inscrutability, then continues on its secret mission, disappearing into the labyrinth of alleys and doorways, leaving only the memory of grace, of mystery, of the wild heart that beats even in the city's heart. The air grows cooler, carrying the promise of night, of rest, of the deep sleep that repairs and renews. Marcus rises from the step, feeling the pleasant ache of a day well lived, of muscles used, of body honored, of spirit satisfied. He climbs the stairs to his apartment, each step carrying him closer to his own small sanctuary, his own corner of the great city. Behind him, the street settles into its night rhythm. Oil lamps flicker in windows, creating points of light in the growing darkness, like stars fallen to earth, like prayers made visible. The city breathes, inhales the night, exhales the day, and prepares for the ancient miracle of sleep, of dreams, of the darkness that restores the light. Marcus reaches his door, his hand finding the familiar latch, feeling the wood worn smooth by countless touches. He pauses, one last moment, to listen to the city's lullaby, to the gentle sounds of evening, to the quiet symphony of home. Then he steps inside, into his own small space, carrying with him the day's blessings, the evening's peace, the promise of tomorrow's will, tomorrow's clay, tomorrow's simple joy. The door closes softly, sealing away the day, welcoming the night, and Marcus stands in his small room, in the gathering darkness, feeling the deep satisfaction of a life lived fully, quietly, honestly. The city sleeps around him, and he prepares to join its ancient dream, to surrender to the peaceful darkness that connects all souls, all stories, all the ordinary lives that make up the extraordinary tapestry of human existence. Chapter 8. Dinner and Final Reflections. Inside his small sanctuary, Marcus lights the clay oil lamp with practiced hands, the flame catching, wavering, then settling into steady brightness. The warm glow spreads across the rough walls, painting dancing shadows that seem to breathe with the flickering light. The day's last ritual begins, the simple ceremony of evening sustenance. His wooden table, scarred by years of use, holds the evening's feast, modest but complete. A bowl of lentils, still warm from the pot, their earthy scent rising with the steam, tiny clouds of comfort that speak of fields and harvest, of the ancient grains that have sustained his people for generations. The lentils glisten with olive oil, golden drops that catch the lamplight like precious stones. Beside the bowl, a small mound of greens, wilted just enough to soften their bite, seasoned with salt and a touch of vinegar. The leaves are deep green, rich with the color of life, of gardens tended by careful hands, of the earth's gift freely given. A crust of bread waits nearby, the heel of this morning's loaf, saved for this moment, its surface golden brown, promising the honest satisfaction of grain transformed by fire. A cup of wine, mixed with water in the old way, sits within reach. The liquid is dark, almost black in the lamplight, but it glows red when held to the flame, like captured sunset, like the essence of distant vineyards, of grapes that ripened under Mediterranean sun, of the simple alchemy that turns fruit into comfort, into the gentle ease that marks day's end. Marcus settles onto his wooden stool, feeling the familiar embrace of worn wood, shaped by his body over countless evenings. The silence around him is complete, but not empty. It pulses with the quiet life of the building, the soft breathing of neighbors through thin walls, the gentle creak of settling timber, the whisper of wind through shuttered windows. This is the music of home, of safety, of belonging. He lifts the wooden spoon, carved from olive wood, smooth with age and use, and tastes the lentils. The flavor is rich, earthy, honest. Each spoonful carries the essence of simple preparation, of time taken, of care invested. The texture is perfect, soft enough to comfort, substantial enough to satisfy. The salt brings out the grain's natural sweetness. The oil adds richness, completion. The bread tears with a soft sound, revealing the pale interior, the network of air pockets that speaks of proper rising, of yeast's ancient magic. Marcus chews slowly, thoughtfully, tasting the wheat, the water, the salt, the patient work of hands that know their craft. Each bite is communion, with the baker, with the miller, with the farmer who grew the grain under summer skies. A leaf of greens, bitter and sharp, cleanses his palate, prepares it for the next taste. The vinegar adds brightness, awakens the tongue, while the salt grounds the flavor, connects it to the earth, to the sea, to the great cycles that sustain all life. Marcus eats without hurry, without distraction, present in this moment, in this simple act of nourishment. The wine, when it touches his lips, carries warmth, not just of alcohol, but of celebration, of the human genius that discovered fermentation, that learned to capture time in a cup, to preserve the harvest's joy for winter evenings, for moments of quiet reflection. The water tempers the wine's strength, makes it suitable for daily use, for the gentle loosening of the day's knots. Through the thin wall, he hears Kasia singing softly to her baby, her voice barely audible, but sweet, melodic. The lullaby is ancient, passed down through generations of mothers, a song that speaks of love, of protection, of the eternal bond between parent and child. The baby's response is wordless, content, the sound of trust, of safety, of being held. Marcus pauses in his eating, spoon halfway to his mouth, listening to this tender exchange, feeling the privilege of witnessing, even at this distance, the sacred moments of family life, of love made audible, of the quiet heroism of daily care. The song continues, soft as breath, gentle as falling leaves, carrying both mother and child towards sleep's embrace. He returns to his meal, but the song has changed something, has reminded him of what truly matters. Not the grand gestures that history remembers, but the small acts of love, the daily choices to care, to tend, to nurture. His lentils taste richer now, his bread more satisfying, his wine more precious, because they are shared, in spirit if not in person, with the great community of human souls seeking comfort, seeking home. The oil lamp flickers, responding to some slight movement of air, and the shadows dance, creating a living gallery on the walls, shapes that shift and change, that remind him of the potter's wheel, of clay taking form, of the way light and darkness play together to create beauty, to reveal truth, to show the world in all its complexity, its simplicity, its wonder. Marcus's thoughts drift, carried by the wine's gentle warmth, by the meal's satisfaction, by the day's accumulated contentment. He thinks of his father, dead these 10 years, but present somehow in the steady turn of the wheel, in the feel of clay responding to patient hands, in the pride of work well done. The old man would have approved of this day, would have recognized its worth, its completeness. What makes a good day? Marcus wonders. Not the questions that occupy senators, not the concerns that drive merchants, not the ambitions that fuel generals, but this simple progression from dawn to dusk, marked by honest work, by bread shared, by water that cleanses, by neighbors who greet each other with recognition, with acceptance, with the quiet affection of shared humanity. He thinks of the amphora, nearly finished, waiting in the workshop for tomorrow's final touches. Senator Brutus will be pleased. Will use it to store wine for his grand dinners, for the political gatherings that shape the empire's course. But the vessel's true purpose, its real meaning, lies not in its destination, but in its creation, in the meditation of its making, in the hours of quiet focus that brought it into being. The empire, vast and powerful, built on the backs of legions, maintained by the genius of engineers, governed by the wisdom of lawmakers. All of it depends on moments like this, on citizens who wake each morning, who work with their hands, who eat simple food, who find satisfaction in small accomplishments, who sleep peacefully, who dream of tomorrow's possibilities. Marcus finishes his lentils, scraping the bowl clean with the last of his bread. The gesture is automatic, respectful, honoring the food, the hands that prepared it, the earth that provided it. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is taken for granted. Each grain, each drop, each morsel is received with gratitude, with awareness of the gift, the privilege, the blessing of sustenance. He lifts the wine cup, feeling its weight, its warmth, and drinks the last drops, tasting the complexity, the depth, the way the wine carries within it the story of its making, the vineyard, the harvest, the pressing, the aging, the careful attention of the vintner, all of it present in this final sip. This closing of the day's circle. The oil lamp burns steadily, its flame straight and true, casting a pool of golden light in the gathering darkness. Marcus watches it, hypnotized by its simple beauty, by the way it transforms oil into illumination, darkness into comfort, solitude into peace. The flame seems to pulse with its own life, its own rhythm, its own quiet breathing. He rises slowly, feeling the day's work in his joints, the pleasant ache of muscles used, of body honored, of the physical life fully lived. His movements are deliberate, unhurried, part of the evening's ritual of closure, of preparation for sleep, for the darkness that restores, that heals, that prepares the soul for tomorrow's light. The bowl, empty now, clean, waits to be washed, but that can wait for morning, for the fresh start that comes with dawn. For now, it is enough to stack it carefully, to fold the linen cloth, to arrange the simple elements of his life with care, with respect, with the attention that transforms ordinary objects into sacred vessels. Marcus moves to his bed, to the straw mattress that has supported his dreams for years. He sits on its edge, feeling the familiar give, the gentle embrace, and begins to unlace his sandals. The leather is warm, soft with age, shaped by his feet, by the countless miles they have walked together, through the streets of Rome, through the days of his life, the sandals removed, set carefully aside. He stretches his legs, feeling the relief, the freedom, the simple pleasure of bare feet on cool wood, his tunic, still carrying the scent of olive oil from the baths, the faint fragrance of clay from the workshop, the honest smell of a day well lived, will serve as his sleeping garment, simple, comfortable, sufficient. He lies back, feeling the straw rustle beneath him, supporting him, cradling him. The ceiling above disappears into shadow, becomes limitless, becomes the sky itself. Stars invisible but somehow present, watching over this small room, this ordinary man, this unremarkable life that carries within it all the beauty, all the meaning, all the sacred purpose that existence offers. The oil lamp flickers once more, its flame bending with a breath of wind, then straightening, continuing its faithful service. Soon it will burn lower, will fade to ember, will sleep as he sleeps, but for now, it maintains its vigil, its gentle illumination, its promise that darkness is not empty, but full, pregnant with possibility, with rest, with the deep peace that comes to those who have lived their day completely. Marcus closes his eyes, feeling the weight of satisfied fatigue, of muscles that have worked, of hands that have created, of a soul that has found its place in the great tapestry of existence. Tomorrow will bring new clay, new challenges, new opportunities for the quiet heroism of daily life. But tonight is for rest, for gratitude, for the deep sleep that carries ordinary souls toward extraordinary dreams. Chapter 9. Into the embrace of night. The oil lamp's flame has grown smaller now, a tiny golden heart beating against the darkness, its light no longer reaching the corners of the room, but gathering close, intimate, like a whispered secret. The flame dances once, twice, then settles into perfect stillness, as if it too is preparing for sleep, for the gentle surrender that comes with night's arrival. Marcus lies upon his straw mattress, feeling the familiar embrace of exhaustion, not the harsh tiredness of struggle, but the sweet fatigue of a day fully lived, fully received. His body has found its natural rhythm, breathing deep and slow, each exhale releasing the day's accumulated tensions, each inhale drawing in the night's peace. The air moves differently now, softer, more forgiving, carrying the coolness that seeps through stone, through wood, through the very bones of the building. The temperature drops degree by gentle degree, inviting rest, inviting the deep sleep that repairs, that restores, that prepares the soul for tomorrow's gifts. Beyond his shuttered window, the city continues its ancient lullaby, but quieter now, more distant. The voices that filled the streets have faded to whispers, to murmurs, to the soft rustle of lives settling into their evening rhythms. A mother's gentle humming drifts from somewhere nearby, her voice barely audible, but sweet, melodic, carrying love across the darkness. Through the thin walls, Marcus hears the building's own breathing, the soft creak of settling timber, the whisper of wind through cracks, the gentle sounds of neighbors preparing for sleep. Cash's baby has grown quiet, no longer crying, but making the small, contented sounds of childhood, of safety, of being held in love's embrace. Above him, footsteps pace slowly, deliberately, someone else moving through their evening ritual. The sounds are muffled, peaceful, speaking of ablutions performed, of prayers whispered, of the daily ceremony of transition from waking to dreaming. Each footstep is part of the building's symphony, the gentle music of community, of lives lived in harmony. Marcus's thoughts drift, carried by the approaching sleep, by the wine's gentle warmth, by the satisfaction of muscles well used, of hunger satisfied, of thirst quenched. He thinks of the amphora, nearly complete, waiting in the workshop, its graceful curves holding the promise of tomorrow's completion, of pride in craft, of beauty made manifest. The clay remembers his hands, just as his hands remember the clay. The partnership between maker and material, between intention and response, between the human need to create and the earth's willingness to be shaped. This is the mystery he carries, the sacred trust between potter and vessel, between dream and reality. Senator Brutus will receive his commission, will use it to store wine for his grand entertainments, for the political gatherings that shape the empire's course. But the vessel's true purpose, its real meaning, lies not in its destination, but in its creation, in the meditation of its making, in the hours of quiet focus that brought it into being. The oil lamp flickers, its flame bending with an almost invisible breath of air, then straightening, continuing its faithful vigil. The light catches the bronze mirror, reflects briefly, then fades, as if passing the responsibility of illumination to dreams, to the inner light that shines when eyes are closed. When the soul turns inward, Marcus feels his body sinking deeper into the straw, feels the boundaries between himself and the bed, between waking and sleeping, beginning to blur, to soften, to dissolve. His breathing becomes part of the room's rhythm, part of the building's pulse, part of the city's great heartbeat. Slow and steady, peaceful and sure. The darkness behind his closed eyelids is not empty, but full, pregnant with possibility, with the images that will soon become dreams, with the memories that will weave themselves into new patterns, new stories, new understandings. The day's experiences settle into their proper places, finding their meaning, their connection to the great tapestry of existence. He remembers the morning's bread, still warm from Gaius's oven, the simple communion of neighbors, the honest exchange of coin for sustenance, of need met with care. The memory is warm, golden, like the lamp's dying light, like the first touch of dawn that will, in time, return to wake the world. The bathhouse rises in his memory, the sacred waters, the ritual of cleansing, the community of bodies made clean, souls made peaceful, the steam, the heat, the shocking cold, the gentle oil, the skilled hands of Lysander, all of it part of the great gift, the Roman understanding that the body is temple, that cleansing is prayer, that water is blessing. His neighbors' voices echo softly in his mind, Cassia's gentle laughter, Lucius's worried questions about the future, old Gaius's satisfied sigh at day's end, Quintus hurrying past with his messages. All of them part of the web, the network of connection that holds the community together, that makes the city more than stone and timber, more than streets and buildings. The oil lamp's flame grows smaller, dimmer, but still burns, still keeps its faithful watch. The shadows on the walls have deepened, become one with the darkness, creating a world of gentle gray, of soft transitions, of the peaceful twilight that exists between day and night, between waking and sleeping, between one life and another. Marcus's breathing slows further, becomes almost imperceptible, his body finding its natural rhythm, the rhythm of rest, of repair, of the deep sleep that comes to those who have lived their day completely, who have held nothing back, who have given their best to the simple tasks, the ordinary moments, the unremarkable hours that make up a human life. The straw beneath him rustles softly, one final time, then settles, supporting his weight, cradling his dreams. The sound is gentle, peaceful, like dried grass in a summer field, like the whisper of wind through grain, like the earth's own lullaby, sung to all who rest upon her surface. Outside, the city sleeps, its great breathing slowed, its pulse steady and deep. The streets lie empty, waiting, holding their stories, their memories, their promise of tomorrow's activity. But for now, they rest, they dream, they exist in the peaceful darkness that connects all souls, all stories, all the ordinary lives that make up the extraordinary tapestry of human existence. The oil lamp flickers once more, its flame bending, swaying, then, with a soft whisper, with the gentlest of sighs, it dies. The room fills with perfect darkness, with the complete peace that comes when light surrenders to night, when the day releases its hold, when sleep finally claims the weary soul. Marcus sleeps, deeply, peacefully, completely. His dreams are gentle, filled with clay and water, with bread and friendship, with the simple satisfactions of work well done, of life well lived, of days measured not in grand gestures, but in small kindnesses, quiet moments, ordinary miracles. The building sleeps around him, its inhabitants safe, secure, held in the embrace of stone and timber, of community and care. Cassia's baby dreams of milk and warmth. Lucius dreams of home and Julia. Old Gaius dreams of rising dough and satisfied customers. All of them connected, all of them part of the great web, the eternal pattern. And in the workshop, the amphora waits, patient and still, ready for tomorrow's final touches, for the completion that will transform it from potential to reality, from dream to vessel, from clay to art. It holds within its unfinished form all the promise of Marcus's craft, all the patience of his hands, all the love of his calling. The city dreams, its streets empty but expectant, its fountains flowing in darkness, its walls holding the warmth of the day, releasing it slowly, gently, into the cool night air. The great machine of civilization rests, repairs itself, prepares for tomorrow's dance, tomorrow's symphony, tomorrow's ordinary miracle of human life. Dawn will come, as it always comes, with golden light and gentle warmth, with the promise of new clay, new bread, new conversations, new opportunities for the quiet heroism of daily existence. But for now, for this perfect moment, there is only sleep, only peace, only the deep contentment that comes to those who have found their place, their purpose, their home. Marcus breathes, slowly, deeply, peacefully. His sleep is the sleep of the righteous, not because he is without fault, but because he has lived his day with attention, with care, with gratitude for the simple gifts, the ordinary blessings, the unremarkable moments that make up a life well lived. The darkness is complete now, but not empty. It pulses with dreams, with the gentle breathing of sleeping souls, with the promise of tomorrow's light. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to shape clay, to share bread, to greet neighbors, to find meaning in the simple act of living. But tonight is for rest, for the deep sleep that restores, that heals, that prepares the soul for whatever tomorrow may bring. Marcus sleeps, and in his sleep, he is connected to every soul who has ever sought rest, who has ever found peace in the simple rhythm of day and night, of work and rest, of life and dreams. The eternal city sleeps, its heart beating slowly, steadily, peacefully, and in that sleep, in that peace, in that perfect darkness, all is well, all is complete, all is exactly as it should be. The day is done, the night has come, and sleep, gentle, healing, restorative sleep, embraces all who dwell within the walls of Rome. Sleep well, gentle listener, sleep well,